Pokemon Unite, September patch notes for Season 6 Ranked, the Mew release, and new Sky Ruins map. This is one of the biggest patches we have ever seen, even without the new map, because every Unite move has been nerfed since you are getting less buffs when using it. Also, item changes or item adjustments, that's rare. Pokemon balance, and we also have some emblem changes as well. This is crazy, and it's going to take a lot of time to see where things settle, much like with the Buddy Barrier and Score Shield nerf patch. So if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to leave a like, share with your friends, and comment your thoughts down below. Let's start with emblems, because you can also buy emblem pages for 5,800 AOS coins or 290 gems. I'm seeing a lot of idiots get upset about this because they treat it like it's their first MOBA. This is how League of Legends has done it forever. This is how other MOBAs do it, because it's weird. You play a game, and then you get things inside that game, and then the more you play it, the more you unlock some other things. So 3 emblem pages without any upgrades, that's fine, and then the ability to unlock more, that's just even better. Now let's get into the actual emblem adjustments. Black emblems have been mega nerfed, going from 8% cooldown reduction. It was hard to find cooldown reduction down to 4%, but this is fair because green-black synergy was just insane. Special attackers got so much more out of emblems because you're getting bonus special attack, you're getting free cooldown reduction. Since you're a caster, that's going to matter. And then when it comes to like the bonus attack and attack speed pages, those are weird. So now it just kind of feels fair. It's not like, oh, don't run black emblems anymore. You're just getting less. Your cooldowns are going to feel a little longer, but now it's actually balanced. Attack and special attack emblems getting a weird adjustment. So it's the same at gold, but you have more at bronze and only slightly more. So you're going from 1 attack to 1.2 attack per emblem. And you're not running like a full page of all just plus attack bronze emblems for 2 more attack. And the thing is, like, all the other things are just more valuable. Why do you care about 1.2 attack when you can get plus 30 hit points or plus 40 or plus 50 compared to plus 2 attack at gold? The value is just crazy. So some pages for some of the synergies, for some of the color bonuses, like, okay, you're getting an extra 1 attack or 2 special attack. That's the change. I don't think it matters. I think that raw damage stats are very undervalued. Also because scaling is just generally low and weird in this game. Some Pokemon have like 500% attack scaling, so now you're getting an extra 5 damage from a full combo when Pokemon have 5,000 health. Doesn't really matter. Critical emblems are getting gutted though. We've got, like, gold is the new bronze. That a gold emblem is now 0.6% instead of 1%, so the max you can get is 6% crit chance from a full gold page, down to 3% for a full bronze page. Again, like, yeah, crit, also just kind of a free stat you splash in because the interaction, like, you just never want to go brown or red, so you just go all crit, you get some health synergy in there, and then you're just better, you're just way up. And that was also creating like a lot of crit madness going on. So now you have to be more thoughtful about how you build your emblem pages just a little bit, and maybe it makes some other ones viable. Now, the Unite buff. It's not a buff to Unites, it's a nerf to the Unite buff, which is kind of confusing. So yeah, all Pokemon got a fat stat package when using the Unite move for 8 seconds. Now, all Unite moves have their own buffs for 6 seconds and will be listed on each individual Pokemon's page when they're confirmed. And the reason why it's going to take some time to confirm is because from the beta test, a lot of Pokemon had like a lot of weird changes. It seems to be mostly class-based, like you're going to have your supporters, you're going to have your all-rounders and attackers and speedsters get different packages, but some Pokemon also seem to be individual. But across the board, it's a nerf. Less duration for the buffs, and then most Pokemon are just kind of losing things. So not every Pokemon is getting 80% movement speed. Even some speedsters are looking to be down on what they get. That, like, for example, Gengar, Absol, Talonflame. So now they have a shield for 20% max hit points instead of 30%, no cooldown reduction, no attack speed, and then they're the only ones with 80% movement speed. And then we can see, like, supporters getting some different stats as well. It's going to take time. Like, just check the Pokemon you're playing and then see the changes. But now, not every Pokemon is getting this for longer, and it seems like the hit point shields are just down across the board, except on defenders, which are up. So we can see Blastoise, Slowbro, Snorlax, 40% max hit points, but not moving as fast, and then no cooldown reduction. So that's going to matter on a lot of Pokemon, and it's going to take a long time to see where that lands. Let's get into the individual Pokemon changes. Buzzwole, getting a good buff, mostly around the muscle gauge, charging faster, which is very important, and then a little bit of extra damage. I still think Buzzwole is very weak. I don't think this moves it up a tier. It just makes it a bit more playable. Biggest problem with Buzzwole is that starting moves are just very weak. It can't duel that well, and it also can't secure wild Pokemon, and since you can't stack muscle gauge on wild Pokemon, yeah, you're not really doing much of anything. Cramorant, Air Slash Dive, which was always the worst moveset, is getting nerfed, now making it even more indefensible for picking that. Machamp, Dynamic Punch, getting nerfed. Damage is going to be down a decent amount per tick. That base with the per level and ratio times 4, it matters. And here's what I like. Submission is getting effectively a power neutral change. Lower cooldown, that's really good, but less movement speed. So now it's not gonna be like a Zeraora thing where they like quietly buffed Wild Charge and didn't want to touch Discharge until when they finally hit Discharge. Turned out Wild Charge was just insane. And same thing that we've seen, that instead of, you know, kind of balancing the moves properly, they just keep like nerfing one thing too much or buffing another one too much until we actually have a problem on our hands. So with this, like, okay, submission, you can pick it, it's going to be up more, but it's not going to be as powerful. Fine. And I don't know what's better between Dynamic Punch, Submission. You're not, for the most part, going to be using 2 submissions in a fight, but now that you have that extra 2 seconds, it could matter. It could get the pick. It could be enough crowd control to actually swing a bit of a fight. Cool. Wigglytuff getting an interesting buff. So, thing about Double Slap, Wigglytuff just stopped existing. Like, that's why I always rate it really low on my tier list. The Unite move isn't really that good, especially without, like, E-Girls, Buddy Barrier, 40% stacking meta, and stuff like that. The damage just falls off a cliff, and then Wigglytuff just doesn't do anything. So we're going to be seeing a little bit of a ratio adjustment on the damage per slap. You do get the extra slaps, and you can get some per level is up, base is up, so you are doing more with it. I played a little bit of Wigglytuff, didn't really feel like it was much better, but I think Wigglytuff has maybe now moved into B tier. Also, the cooldown being down. I don't think this matters because rollout resets the double slap cooldown, so if you're playing it properly, good. If you like miss a rollout bounce or you don't have like a choke point to fight into, I guess double slap's going to be up again. That's going to be nice. Also, rollout has an indicator showing you where it's going to bounce. I don't think that's too much of a buff, but it is nice quality of life. Like, you could effectively figure it out for yourself if you had Wigglytuff experience. I don't know if it makes the Pokemon more accessible or much more better, but yeah, it's like, Wigglytuff is, it's a little better. We'll see how that plays out, but yeah, it's not like, oh, the ratio got doubled, so if you stack a score specs, you're now just doing like crazy amounts of damage. Doesn't really look like carry amounts of damage, especially with Mr. Mime popping off right now. I still think Wigglytuff... Oh, yeah, also Mr. Mime getting, like, Giga buffs, but also kind of Giga nerfs, so we're going to talk about that. I don't think Wigglytuff is playable over Mr. Mime. Maybe it's still D tier, actually. Serena, Stomp, cooldown increased, ratio, per level, base, nerfed, everything nerfed, Stomp plus nerf. Stomp is just not going to be as oppressive. So like I said, instead of, like, how they were nerfing things around the Stomp, and then Stomp's Arena still became, like, A+ tier, one of the best Pokemon in the game. Now it's like, okay, we're bringing this down and back in line. We're not overly buffing anything. Serena's also not getting gutted, but now it's not going to be as oppressive. Dragonite, interesting Hyper Beam change. So you don't just get free max hit points damage for not charging and playing lazy. Stage 3 is unchanged, so if you're always doing full Hyper Beams, no change whatsoever, but now you're losing 5% on anything else. Also, Dragon Dance. Because of cooldown reduction, emblems, and some other weird stuff, you could kind of get to the point where Dragon Dance wouldn't need an auto attack to be fully stacked, and that created weird stuff. Also, sometimes Dragonite just too slippery. It should get a bit more punished for getting into range, for the auto attacks, for the hyper beams, and being able to like Dragon Dance out of any of your opponent's abilities. That 0.5 seconds, I feel like kind of makes the diff in my experience. Glaceon, Fixed a bug where the Shattered Icicle Spear damage would linger after hitting its target. Yeah, that was creating some weird stuff. So bug fix is nice, and they're nerfing the Icicle Spear down to a maximum of 12 spears. I don't know if this ruins Glaceon, but it means like you don't just get to sit in your Unite, throw 20 spears at someone, and one-shot them. Yeah, that's actually pretty bad, because it used to make it to where your cooldowns would also interact really well, because by the time you finally KO'd the dude after sending a million spears their way, your Icicle Spear is back up. I think 12 also kind of makes it to where you can cast it again, but you have to either recast the opponent that's like completely fled because they are on very low health. You get 10 anyways from just like natural, you stack your 8 and then you cast while already casting the Icicle Spear to get the bonus too. I don't know, like this might be in, like this might end Sylveon's like just team fight presence. Could knock it out of S tier. I think this brings it down to A+. Maybe it's even harder of a nerf. Icy Wind did not get buffed enough though. The Icy Wind needs its damage double before it's viable, not a barely noticeable ratio increase and then no more % health damage. So Glaceon, weird change. It's going to take some time to like really get a feel for, especially like everyone wants to play Mew. Tyranitar is still really strong, and there's like a lot of other things. But I think Glaceon still playable, but it's just not as free when it unites. But it still wants to unite the second it's up. It wants to be like unite, burn on cooldown. You still want to Icicle Spear people. You're just not going to find as many KOs, but I think you're still pushing them out of the fight, so it's not changing the fight too much. I don't know, that's going to take some time to see how significant it is. Or maybe Glaceon's still S tier. Who knows? Delphox Flame Charge is unplayable. 4.5 second cooldown doesn't matter. Espeon getting cooldown buffs by getting less cooldown on Psybeam, Future Sight. Stored power and reduced charge time for Blast to recharge. Buff, internal cooldown. Psychic Solaire also getting cooldown reduction. So, Espeon just doing more things more often. I still think it's not that great of a Pokemon, but they don't want to give it too much more damage or else it's going to be one-shotting things every 6 seconds. So we're going to see how that goes. Duraludon Dragon Tail time between uses. That's been increased. That way it's just not Giga super slippery, super safe for being a very high damage ADC Pokemon. Blissey. Very significant nerf right here because the ratio. What happened was people were just like, just running it down. They would int for a stack, and that actually matters because if you get enough score specs and then you just kind of combo that in. Blissey was all ratio based. That even if you got like level 15 on Blissey, does not increase the base healing. Now the special attack would matter, but still. So like the Pokemon having a 200% ratio made it very volatile on the score stacking. That's been cut down. Base has been cut down. Ratio heal over time, base cut down. It's healing a lot less. So now those situations with the opponent was barely not KO'd and then became immortal, those are gone. Same for Blissey. So now, like, if you just get the right target, like, oh, do I just blow up the Cinderace since it's way too squishy, or do I knock out the Blissey, that way it can't heal anyone? You actually have the opportunity to counterplay it, but still very high ratio, very strong. Once the stack, if it gets ahead, it can keep snowballing the game, but now it's not impossible to play against. Mr. Mime getting a crazy rework. Boosted attack. This feels like a nerf, because it takes 5 seconds to get your knockup. Well, the third auto attack came out before 5 seconds, so if you're just in there dueling and you were a Mr. Mime main, like I was, it just feels wrong, because I'm used to, you know, confusion stun, 1-2, knockup, confusion stun, because that crowd control buys me time. Now you're just sitting there auto attacking and you don't have anything to synergize into your cooldowns with, so it feels a lot weaker. However, it's easier to start a fight. You're not like charging your auto attacks and then standing still for the attack animation. You just walk into a fight, so you stun them, and then that first auto attack is always going to knock them up. That's good, but you're still like losing damage from the empowered damage, and you're losing crowd control from just auto attacking in. Also, attack speed nerf from Unite moves matters, because Mr. Mime would pop off and be like, super fast auto attack speed, knockups, craziness, also X attack very strong, increasing its attack speed. Mr. Mime getting hit pretty hard on that, but then everything else is feeling really strong. So, Light Screen, now briefly stuns on placement. Wow. Fake Out getting nerfed though, actually. No longer stuns after the shove. That was kind of oppressive, because it just made it to where you couldn't do anything about the Mr. Mime Fake Out. Even though it's not level 3 for long, it was very important. It just steals everything. Wow, that was a louder clap than I thought. That was just a weak-ass clap, too. Ever do that? Where it's just like, you just try to make like a basic clap and ends up being the loudest noise ever made by man. Either way, do the fake out, you steal, it displaces, it's hard. Like, you just feel way too locked out after getting hit by a fake out. Well, that doesn't happen anymore, so the Mr. Mime needs to get the secure and play better. That's probably fine because Mr. Mime's still really, really strong. It's always been S tier. Barrier, now stuns on placement. Yeah, you also have like the light screen and barrier stuns, so you want to play around that. You want to play around disrupting them, micro-stunning them on the barrier, and then setting up that for the steals and the secures. Psychic rework. I don't know if Psychic is better than Confusion right now. Some people are popping off with it, but just kind of seems like more meme-y kind of things, where people are like, oh, Stealth Rock's still good, all Dive Air / Cramorant's still good, when it's just griefing. So it's just like, I guess with most of the Pokemon Unite community being terrible, like, Psychic actually has viability now. Is it the best one? I don't know. But yeah, now just weird. Pulses energy, dealing damage in an area around themselves, any target affected by guard swap, and any barriers or light screens. After 3 pulses, the final pulse will stun, and then we have this damage. So the damage is still not as nasty as like just, Confusion, steal everything. Like, the old Psychic damage was nothing, even if you did it perfectly. Even if you got the overlapping pulses into a stun, into the bonus damage, it was just nothing. Like, you don't get the reward for the risk of having to overlap it and get that damage out and all the other stuff, when Confusion is just more damage safer and a heavier lockout onto the opponent. So when we look at this, that damage, that was nothing, even when doubled, was this ratio. So now, the final hit on Psychic isn't going to hit that hard. The other pulses are kind of there, but it's still not a lot of damage, but it is a guaranteed stun, and you can kind of throw it out and do weird stuff with it. So it's more utility, less damage, but not as good as like securing wild Pokemon, not as good as just dominating carries inside of fights, but like playable, but not as good. So Guard Swap is now Power Swap. And here, I don't know, because it's just stronger now since you always have the healing passive. And that does so much stupid stuff. You tether to an enemy Pokemon, you're healing off of them. You hit them with the Confusion, you stun them, you're still doing crazy amounts of damage. You can tether onto an ally when your Citrus Berries are down. Like, you're an actual support now, and you are creating absurd, disgusting amounts of power in the game. But I think it's bugged, because Power Swap Plus no longer stuns. Like, you're tethered on the Power Swap Plus, you hit the Confusion, and they don't get stunned by it. They just get pushed away. If that's bugged, Mr. Mime is Giga Strong. If that's intended for whatever weird reason, Mr. Mime actually sucks now. Because your late game, where it matters, where at the Rayquaza fight, or at like the crucial in-game team fights, where you want to guard swap onto their Absol, onto their Cinderace, onto their Squishy Carry, stun them, and then one-shot them, you don't do that anymore. You just push them away, you break the tether, you're not healing anymore, and everything's on cooldown. So it just seems like that has to be bugged. And if it is, awesome. Actually, I'm going to check the Pokemon Unite Twitter, because they usually quickly say, oh, this isn't working. So they have updated, but it's about following problems. Normal attacks may unintentionally target wild Pokemon. We have confirmed this issue does not occur if you turn off the aim icon setting in control settings. So, yeah, you do that. There's going to be a change, but it looks like nothing about Mr. Mime, so I don't know. But while the link holds, the user's movement speed increases and the hit points are continually restored. Again, even against enemy Pokemon. That's just absurd. So like now you're just dueling better, and until the upgrade comes through, you're just out of control. So Link will continue to hold for as long as Link Pokemon stay in range, or until another target is power swapped. If the Link Pokemon's an ally Pokemon, their movement speed increases, and they also heal while increasing damage amount deals. I didn't know that, and continually restore hit points. So yeah, it's outrageous what you can do, and a good Mr. Mime can still like guard swap, but also confusion people into the wall and get like all the crazy angles and stuff. So now that's just like giga uber nonsensically buffed. Like again, Mr. Mime was S tier. Problem is just too high of a skill cap, players didn't understand, and you gotta watch my tier list. I've been right about everything, no matter what anyone else says. Like, I have the best tier list. I've been the most accurate when it comes to Pokemon power. But again, like, the Pokemon Unite community sucks, the content creators are bad at the game, and that's making it to where now we're getting stuff like this that's happening, where it's outrageous. Mr. Mime's power has gone from S to double S triple plus tier. just off of this, and I didn't even know you got like damage boosting on it because I was just succeeding. So a good Mr. Mime has now been outrageously rewarded, even on these weird nerfs until level 13, where the upgrade just says, no, you don't get to stun them anymore. Again, if that's bugged, Mr. Mime double S triple plus tier. If it's not a bug, Mr. Mime's garbage. I don't know. If the Link Pokemon is an enemy Pokemon, decreases the movement speed of that Pokemon, decreases the amount of damage it deals, and deals damage over time. So you also take less damage. So like everything Mr. Mime did, like I said, free this patch where you guard swap onto them, you hit them with the confusion, they get stunned, and then you just kill them. Well, now you're just better. Now they can't do anything. Like you tether a target, they have nothing to do against you. That's absurd. Damage and healing ticks at a rate of half a second. The healing is outrageous as well. Like, everything about this is just outrageous. Damage boost 15%, damage debuff, increased amount of damage dealt by allied Pokemon, decreased amount dealt by opposing Pokemon. The upgrade doesn't really matter. Tyranitar, Dark Pulse, and Ancient Power nerfs. Also, you know why its Unite move was just bowling people over? It was critting. And that would be like, you auto-attack crit, auto-attack crit. The auto-attack crits while uniting were doing like 2,500 damage. So you just like 3-shot anyone on auto-attacks while getting all their crazy stats. So Unite moves, nerfed, less movement speed, less attack speed. And now it's also not critting. So Tyranitar has gone from pretty strong. Actually, no, Tyranitar is like Charizard. Not really that great. Crazy when it unites. So weird power spikes and power troughs. To, I don't even know, like it's just not that good. Does the removal of crit bring it from A+ tier to B+ tier? Maybe, but that's huge. Also, these other nerfs, Tyranitar is like not even playable, it feels. So Stealth Rocks, bug fix. Lucario, bug fix. Held items. So yeah, that's it. We're done with the Pokemon. Some stuff I'm still trying to work out and figure out. Mostly Glaceon and Mr. Mime. Leftovers. This level isn't your Pokemon level, it's your upgrade level. So Leftovers just getting 120 free health. Assault Vest getting 9 free special defense. Rocky Helmet, 9 free defense. Defense, it's like 1.5% damage reduction for every 10, roughly. If you put on a frail Pokemon, it gives closer to 2%. So, or like 1.5% effective health. So let's say your Pokemon has 5,000 health. You give it a Rocky Helmet now. Rocky Helmet is going to give you 9, so let's just say like 1.5% more, 70 more physical damage. So like you're not ignoring a crit, you're not ignoring an auto attack, you're not surviving a little extra, but it is a little nice, especially Assault Vest. Like Assault Vest, more viable than Rocky Helmet at all stages, because the Rocky Helmet passive sucks. Rocky Helmet passive makes the item pretty much unusable because it's so convoluted and weird and inconsistent. So with this, like, yeah, if you're an Assault Vest runner, you're going to be tanking a little bit extra. You might not die to a few things. And also the out-of-combat time is only 5 seconds. Same thing on the Float Stone. No note on the out-of-combat time on the Leftovers, which is what Leftovers really needed, but still getting a massive hit points buff. There's also some other weird, like, what if you go Leftovers, Float Stone, Electric Page? And then, like, you just skirmish really quick, you disengage, you get all your health back really quick, and then you're just trying to, like, body scores because the new map is weird. But the new map is also just flooded with Pokemon and is way too busy. So actually, you're going to be in combat more. I don't know what that does for, like, the Float Stone. Also, your out-of-combat movement speed is up 30, so a little bit of an extra emblem if you use it. Pickable. I struggle to say viable. But yeah, these items didn't get buffed enough. Is my thought. Like, you either need to nerf the other ones, or giga buff these, or rework them like Rocky Helmet Leftovers to kind of see where it goes. And all the new Pokemon being added into the map makes Float Stone out of combat and Electric Emblem out of combat, or Yellow Emblem out of combat, not make any sense. So yeah, there we go, guys. Crazy patch, crazy changes. Hope you guys enjoy the video. Hope you have a nice day. Thank you very much for watching.